Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of ClueCon Weekly, sponsored by SignalWire. This week, joining us is Bhagvan Kommadi, CEO of Quantica Computing and a leading expert in various fields, actually, from quantum computing to learning and to e-learning and remote teaching. And I'm very interested to hear what Bhagvan has to tell us about his projects. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Luca. Nice to go on QCon. It has been almost 2 years before I joined the QCon again.
Oh yeah. Well, super happy to have you again. It was probably David was hosting at the time, but we're having fun
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Last time David was there, and we talked about different areas like conversation, yeah, chats, and so many things at that time.
Awesome. So, would you like to start by giving us a quick introduction about yourself, your companies? You do a lot, so there's a lot to look at.
Yeah. So let me give you a brief introduction. I'm a founder of two startups. One is the Arctic Corner, which was the AI startup. Another is the Quantum Computing, which is currently the Quantum AI startup. And initially, it started off as a quantum computing emulator or the first quantum computing startup in India. So I have around 20 years experience in the industry. And recently, I published a book on quantum computing solutions. Coincidentally, that came out from a press. Right? And I did my master's in Georgia Tech. Coincidentally, that was also an AI project. Right? And when I was doing my master, I never realized that in coming back to India and then developing a no-code ML platform will happen. Like most of the time, I thought AI and machine learning or data science is more of like a Department of Defense, right, or Lockheed kind of companies will end up using them. But I'm presently surprised by myself that it's happening in daily life in Asia, in India. Right?
Oh,
And also a member of IFX Forum and participated in the SCP community process. And I have worked on different emulators, simulators, tools, and now I worked last 2 years in Value Momentum, which was into insurance products. And I had worked in product companies like Tipco, Kony, right? And I published papers and was a speaker in IEEE, Xtricon, Avios, right? And that was in conversational AI. And I'm a hands-on CTO who has been contributing to open source blogs, right? And I have reviewed multiple books, written books also, like on data structures in Go, Paytech book on payment technologies, where I was contributing on blockchain.
oh wow, blockchain too.
And yeah, I'm also on the Atlas Scientific Medical Science Review Board and a part of the what do you call SCAF board, which is focusing on what do you call knowledge accelerator, scientific knowledge accelerator, which really helped out during the COVID lockdown, right? And how about capturing systematic review analysis of different research and presenting it in a standard format. So these are some things which I've been doing for the last 20
Wow.
years. Recent, recently I started out building a no-code AML platform, my own open
Oh,
source project.
no code AML platform. Well, let's start from that because that's super interesting because that's generally a field where you need a lot of coding. So what's the idea there?
Yeah, so to take a step back, if you look at Gartner's prediction, right, you have AI-enabled tools which will generate 2.9 trillion in business value by 2021 or 22, let's say. By end of this year, you have 2.9 trillion. So many of the developers or many of the enterprises use no-code platforms. Why? Because you don't need coding and technology skills, business skills. Users can use the no-code platform for different use cases. But if you look at AI, right, it's prevalent in daily life. You can develop applications easily, deploy them. There are recommendation engines, classification algorithms, which are developed using open source toolkits. But there are also no-code platform-based applications where you add in these algorithms, you add in these engines, right? And they are being applied in autonomous driving, robotics, medicine, platforms. Prediction is percent will be developed using no-code platforms. starting off no-code platforms like you can drag and drop, create a workflow design, apply machine learning algorithms, apply analytics, and present the view in charts or bars or graphs or simple tables. And also, you can develop models and train them for different use cases like image analysis, text analysis, statistical analysis. And these pre-trained models can be used on the platform. Right? This platform can be used for predictive analytics. So if you look at a no-code AI platform, more from the product features, you have drag and drop, data source connectivity, social media analysis, analytics, content analysis, and you can build using Python. This particular platform is built using Python and Streamlit, which helps in image analysis of the analytic data. You can import the analytic data, you can analyze it, you can clean it, validate it, train it, and test the model. Right? And let's say the new scenarios which come in will as unseen data, the model will be capable of getting through the feedback and refined for predictive analysis.
That's really very interesting. Yeah, I think there's a push on no code in many fields. We've been doing a similar effort with telephony, so to give people the ability to build a phone tree or a video conference or messaging or chat without having to build code. And I think there's a big push there. And it's not about people not knowing how to program, because you still need to know how things work. The push for no code, I don't know if you agree, is about making applications faster. So building something quick so I can show it to investors. If they like it, we're going to spend more into the application. If it doesn't work out, we can experiment with something else and it's faster. That's the main driver, I think, more than actually not coding, because in machine learning, you need to know how things work anyways, right?
Right. So, like I mentioned, right, it has to be a very focused use case. Like, for example, you want to do NLP based analysis. Right?
Yeah.
There are different open source machine learning models, right, where they have inbuilt data sets like digits and identifying alphabets, identifying words, identifying phrases, right? And you have spacey, and you have big data set, spacey, large data set, and small set data set. There are multiple data sets and there are open source learning models readily available. Right? So what we're talking about here is the capability of having a no-code platform to support, like for example, image classification, which has text, right, or OCR, right, or ICR, right, capturing and recognition, intelligent, being intelligent, not just optical, and also audio analysis, right, and
Oh, yeah.
let's say gesture moments. So some of these things are easily what you call doable through no-code platforms, right? And then there are forward-looking predictive models like semantic segmentation, object detection, motion capture,
Oh, yeah.
and based on computer vision models, which are very straightforward. The
Yeah.
other key element is the annotation tools, right? Where you can mark the boundaries and segments and say that this is the area I'm interested in. I want to focus in this area and see what kind of analysis and information I can get in. And you can have multiple models which can be executed through input data, and analysis can be done on different models. And data can be edited also, right? And you can do what if analysis, saying that you predicted based on the initial data, but I'm going to change this data, and you have this model. What happens when I change the data? So you can do the what if analysis, and you have model prediction analysis can be done through different ROC curves and confusion matrices.
Yeah, plus I think having tools ready. So machine learning again is kind of like real-time communications in that it can become hard for someone who's not from the field to use it. So tools like yours that are no-code machine learning platforms are very useful in helping people who are building applications in another field to try out some machine learning. Say you're building a CRM, but you want to do some, I don't know, natural language processing on the messages to get sent so that you know if your customers are happy or sad. Having a tool that easy to integrate is certainly going to be important. That's super interesting. Super
So
interesting tool.
there are other use cases when you mentioned about CRM, right? There are
Mm,
other use
yeah.
cases where NLP can be good, like analyzing text messages, like SMS text messages, classifying documents, categorizing social media pictures, checking onboarding documents, filtering startup databases, categorizing emails, right? Categorizing, for example, app crash reports using NLP, right? And in insurance vertical, claims identification, quality inspection in manufacturing, auto tagging real estate images, tagging email attachments, analyzing text responses for surveys, right? Tracking social sentiments, recognizing shipping documents. So, like I mentioned, like you're mentioning, NLP and NLU are very powerful in some of these use cases.
Yeah.
Similarly, like I mentioned, right, image analysis, computer vision, WebRTC, right? That's another very powerful, what you call module or a component which can really help out in building applications through AML platform. And similarly, drawing API, the capability to draw an image or annotate an image, right?
Yeah, that's so well, going back to other companies you've started, etc. And in general, so ClueCon Weekly, we try to always keep a little bit of a segment about open source. So what are you've done so much that you have probably have a million examples for different fields, but what are your favorite open source platforms and why do you prefer them? And would you recommend people getting started from them, or would you recommend something else? That's always an interesting topic.
Right. So, just to give you a brief story, right? And open source, this was back in 2010, I think, 2010 or 2008. Open source, very stage where pretty much Apache projects were there. X was, and and that's when published it on LinkedIn also, that open source has capability to move from time telling to clock building. Right? So there are many companies who make watches, right? And they just starts and basically create a watch, and then watch will be pretty much tell. Right? But there are companies who are making a clock, right? So
Clock.
there was a huge opportunity at that point, and that's predicted. And I'm going to share you the link also. That open source has a capability, especially in the enterprise. We have a chat window where you can share the link. Or
Yeah, there's a chat window on the bottom right, and I'll put it in front of the video when you have it. There's a blue and pink chat icon on the bottom right.
so that's a brief history on open source.
Oh,
So my view on open source around 2014-15 was that it has huge capability, huge potential, right? Not just for developers to participate, develop the developer community, but also in the enterprise world, right? If you look at most of the applications are running now on MySQL, Postgres, right? And most of the operating systems on clouds are on EC2 or on Linux, right? So at that point, people thought around 2010, 2015, the open source components it as more like a developer, what do you call tools. But what the prediction was that enterprises will embrace them. Enterprises will start using them. The simple things like Spring, Hibernate, right, will be part of enterprise applications. And if you look at the REST API, right, that also award from the open source. Nobody thought people will embrace REST API. People thought SOAP, and people thought of what do you call JAX based standards, JAX RAS and JAX JAXM, right? JAX messaging. But
mhm.
nobody thought REST services will be enterprise ready. People thought enterprise would adopt. But you see different progressive web applications now or mobile applications. They're all embracing REST applications, right? And those are all Apache open source projects. So that's a big, great background. But to your question, at this point, right, open source is a great platform for many of the companies to start their product or applications as open source. Right, invite developers, right, let them participate and develop the open source more for evangelizing and also for a little bit of marketing their products, where you present a community edition which is very basic and which will be available Like for example, the what do you call the Innode AI platform which I built. Have created a community edition which is available. I shared you the link.
Oh, cool.
Right?
Wow.
And this
That's
can evolve right through participation of different developers into a more like an enterprise edition where enterprises can deploy this on cloud and start using them for their building enterprise apps.
put these links in the video description for everyone so they can see them. Well, I'm taking notes so we can have people take a look. Wow, yeah, that's
If you want,
that's
I can, I can share.
sorry, I missed the last few words, but not a problem. We'll figure it out.
I can share this to you the demo if you're interested.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I have the links, and I have. If you have a link, we can add that to the video description. So when people watch the video, they can download the various pieces. Absolutely, super interesting. Cool. What else? Well, I think I have to ask a few questions though. You've been doing a lot of work with learning, e-learning, and you're an expert in the field. And I have to say, has the learning field changed much with COVID? What have you seen different? And are schools going to keep using video and hybrid tools and all the other stuff?
Like my journey in learning started with OpenEDX. I don't know whether you're familiar with OpenEDX. OpenEDX is the platform
Yeah, I've
which
heard.
is open source. Open source, you'd have heard about it. Most of the universities this platform for course delivery. So I started working for our Australian RMIT, building the course delivery platform. At that time, I was never thinking that people will get onto the online open source, what you call open edX platform to learn courses. Right? It can be IT courses, like courses in digital media, digital press, and so on. Right? And especially during the lockdown, there was a huge leap on online courses, online learning, online collaboration tools, and so on, and everything online. In fact, my seventh grade daughter started using Zoom and so on, and similarly, my mother, who is 65 years old, right,
Mhm.
started using Zoom for collaborating with her friends in US and so on. So everybody started catching up on online platforms. Everybody started collaborating, and there was a huge opportunity at that time to make everything digital, everything online, and learning also became online. People started learning. People started programming online, learning programming courses, getting certified online.
Oh, yeah, that's very interesting. You're right. The learning push has been interesting for people who are generally not into learning to begin with. Your example of your relatives, and I have relatives too. Like my mother is 70 and she's been using e-learning to teach herself a little bit about how to manage a website. So she works with the local Red Cross and she manages the website. That's actually a good work. I mean, and there's a lot. So e-learning is not just about students; it's about everybody learning something. You're absolutely right. That's the more.
Age is not about, especially if you're on online course delivery. As is the prerequisite, right? That it's not the age. It's just the passion and never stop learning is the theme for most of these events, right? And people learn courses, get certification, any age in terms of like understanding digital transformation, or understanding analytics, understanding blockchain, or different IT methodologies. Right? These are online and you learn at any age, and age is not a bar at all.
Yeah, that's certainly true. So, what do you think makes a learning platform successful? Like, which features are the most important for a good learning platform to be useful for people that use it and be successful?
So especially on the online course delivery platforms, when I was involved in building OpenUDX, so things which was really interesting was in the adaptive learning where course delivery platform needs to have intelligence to know the pace of learning of a learner, right? It can be of any age, right? And according to the pace, while he's taking assessments or assignments, while he's answering questions, you can pretty much learn from the what you call the browsing experiences that this particular course has to be customized for a learner, right? And you need to make it more adaptive, saying that you can break it down the same course based on the learner's capability, learner's understanding, and make the course what you call smoother or easy for the learner to catch up the concept before he goes for complex concepts, right? So what I call is more of adaptive learning, and that having personalized adaptive learning, which will really help out in terms of course delivery. That's a powerful feature which is catching up, and people want to take their own time to understand the complex concepts and jump onto what you call applying them.
That's really, yeah. You're right. Self pacing learning is probably the most important thing. It's That's correct. How much? So, do you think that replicating the classroom? This is something I always felt. I feel like, I don't know if you agree. That's actually a question in here. There, I feel like trying to replicate a classroom online is actually wrong. Online has better tools, different tools. So we shouldn't try and do the same thing we do in the classroom. Classroom works with the teacher and the 40 students and a blackboard, and they just go up and write up what the lesson is, explain, and done. I don't think online should not actually work like that. Like, I personally almost can't learn from video content like that. It's But that's personal. I mean, but I don't know what an expert would like to, what your expert opinion is, and that's very personal opinion of mine. That teaching like we do in school over video doesn't really work. Okay, well, let's go back to where we started. So, as I was saying, classroom teaching doesn't really work out for me, and I feel like we're giving people a disservice to just trying and putting classrooms in a video room and calling it a day, because we can do much better.
Yeah, so like I was mentioning, right, if you look at all these course delivery platforms, university course delivery platforms like RMIT or MIT and Stanford, all these are based on open ADAs, and pretty much the framework has capability where teacher can use the whiteboard, right, present the very complex concepts, right, using the whiteboard or using the 3D models or sharing the screen. Similarly, students also can participate in polls and surveys, right? It's not just one way where the teacher is giving the information in one way direction, but students also can participate, right, and collaborate. And let's say he's coding and he has a doubt while writing a program, right? He can zoom into a specific area and say that this is where I'm stuck. Can you help me out, right? And similarly, like in universities, like in what do you call uh, the training institutions, right? You can pretty much simulate what you call students cohorts or student study groups. Right? Create a small set of student groups who can participate in a project, who can work on a project, right, IT project, and develop them, right? And you can have a Slack as a collaboration platform, have multiple channels, let them discuss about it. Right? You can pretty much simulate what happens in a university like in Georgia Tech in Atlanta. You can pretty much simulate on the collaboration platform study groups or cohorts where they pick a project and work together, and you can have a mentor assigned for that particular group, and for that person can help out, coach them, help out them in terms of building an IT solution or IT project for a specific technology or specific programming language.
Yeah, that's you're right. I totally agree. The experience has to be different, and giving people different tools are is the most important thing, because otherwise, again, if we're just putting everybody in front of a video room and just having the teacher teach and just let's go home, at that point it's actually better to have videos, because at that point at least you can watch the video whenever you like, if you're not going to get anything else. Like, there's no,
Right.
That's a and in fact, I will go one step further, and I think that online learning should start bleeding into real life learning, because the tools we have for people who go to universities in person are actually worse than the tools they get by using a platform like Infinity. That's that's weird, because that's real. That's real. I mean, if you go to university, I'm from Italy. If you go to university in Italy, in many cases, the professor just shows up, talks for 2 hours, and goes home. Done. Like, why am I even here? Like, I could have watched a video.
True, the online learning platforms are becoming very popular and they're becoming powerful. At some point, who knows, right? And the e-learning might actually replace the classroom teaching.
Yeah, that's a good. I don't know. Yeah, that's. I think there's a lot there that might get into in the way, but there is really there's really a lot to unpack there. Cool. So, well, you are amongst your million qualifications. There's also you're a board reviewer for multiple publications and multiple associations, etc. So, I always ask a variation of this question to every guest in the to every guest in on ClueCon Weekly. Where do you think the industry is going, and what should someone who's starting out today study? Like, say I am 17, 18. I know I want to go in technology, but I need to pick a field. What should they go into today to be successful 5 years from now?
Yeah, there are many articles and many what do you call recommendations. What are the key 10 areas for a beginner to get started in IT or to get started in programming? So if you go back to the old days, right, where we started, we used to be what you call prepared in terms of understanding mathematics, understanding
Yeah.
analytics, understanding basic algorithms, right? And that those were the prerequisites to get started. Even today, if you look at how things evolved after data science, AI, ML, most of the programmers, right, not just using APIs or framework or you looking at the API documentation, calling them a specific method for algorithms. But nowadays, people need to understand the machine learning algorithms, understand predictive analytics, understand extrapolation, interpolation, and basic mathematic matrix operations and vector operations, which are becoming very, very what you call important. Like very simple thing like a tensor flow, right? Uh,
Yeah.
needs the prerequisite as a tensor, right? You need to understand what is the tensor, what are multiple dimensions to it, and what are the predictive algorithms which can be achieved with the tensor flow. So I would take a step back and go back to the old days and recommend the prerequisites: understanding mathematics, understanding complex mathematical operations, understanding analytics, and
Mm.
understanding algorithms, basic algorithms are very, very important. And most of the languages, programming languages, you can learn in colleges like Python or Java or any latest language like Go, Rust, and so on. The language is not the constraint to understanding algorithms, writing code, right? Understanding machine learning, understanding AI, how it works, right? Understanding an expert system is very, very important.
So learn mathematics, guys. There's no way around it. There's
Yeah,
that's
there's no substitution, no substitution. Like in at least during my what do you call master's days, right? They used to say that the best programmers have a degree, a BA in English on a lighter note, right? Apparently, they were all Microsoft programmers. So, so at the joke, the lighter note was that the Microsoft programmers are good in documenting, right, in writing down very in detail, and they love writing code just because they think coding is like writing poetry, right? So that
yeah.
that was thought process like 10 years back. Now I think if you see how AI and machine learning has evolved, right? Understanding algorithms, understanding mathematics, right, is very very important. It's not just writing code or documenting code. What you're doing, how are you applying, and what kind of algorithms are you applying is very very important.
There's there's no way around theory. So you went to Georgia Tech, right? And you're an engineer like myself. Yeah, the first years of engineering, guys, is just mathematics. They call it differently. It's
Yeah,
fake.
I still remember those days in Georgia Tech in Atlanta. Mathematics 1, Mathematics 2, Mathematics 3.
Yeah.
It never stopped, right? And we were doing my masters.
And they give it to different names sometimes. So sometimes it's named physics, but it's mathematics. Sometimes
True,
it's named geometry, but it's still mathematics.
true, true.
Yeah, yeah. It's
You'll be
named
surprised. You'll be
spatial
surprised.
calculus.
You'll
It's
be
still mathematics.
surprised. You'll be
Yeah.
surprised. It was called combustion. I think 301 or 401, and that was still mathematics using quantum mechanics and quantum mechanic equations, Navier-Stokes. So it went on and on and on for mathematics for me, at least in Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that is certainly the foundation. So there's no way around it. The basics of very I will add this. My background is actually in high throughput engineering, so high throughput systems, systems that can push billions of messages per minute, that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of math involved there. Like, it feels like you're just playing with rockets and tools and whatnot, but in the end you're spending days in front of a whiteboard just writing up equations. So okay, this will work out, let's try it. So that's pretty much what what it looks like. So yeah, that's it. That's where everything starts, I will say. Well, Bhagwan, thank you so much. It was a super interesting journey into machine learning. We went into learning, which is totally different, e-learning. We undernamed similarly, and we ended up with some good recommendation about what people should start with, which ends up being math, guys. Sorry if we can't say anything cooler. It's just study mathematics, and we'll move on from there. And well, again, Bhagwan, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a super pleasure chatting with you. It was very, very interesting for me.
Yeah, same here, Lucas. It is great to be on the ClueCon second time. The first time it was very different for me. So
Mhm.
this time, talking to you instead of David is a great experience for me. And Danny was also mentioning that Luca is very different from David.
Yeah, we have fun, and we try to keep things interesting, and we'll not let 2 years pass before you join us again, because there's so
Sure.
much so many other things I'd like to ask you. Before we leave, one thing: we're having an early bird sale for ClueCon. ClueCon is taking place this year in October 17th to 20th at the Swiss Hotel in Chicago, Illinois. And if you register by April 30th, you get $700 off. $700, not percent, $700 off your ClueCon registration at ClueCon.com. And I mean, back when, if you'd like to join us at ClueCon, we'll be there in October from 17th
Sure.
to
So
20th.
just
Otherwise,
drop me email and give me the coupon code. I'll try to register for ClueCon.
we'll do. Super good. Okay, so thanks again, and thank you, Bhagwan.
Thanks, Lucas. Have a good day.
And for everybody else, I see you next week. Goodbye.